Welcome back to Fandom Empire, and this one has been a long time coming. Something we've been planning for quite some time. We are going inside Halloween Aftermath, and we have the pleasure of being joined this evening by producer, director, sort of the main man behind the project, Mr. James Grimm, and also joined by the man playing the shape, also a producer on the project, Cameron, who have been kind enough to take time out of their weekend, and we're going to sit down and dive into all sorts of things about this. James, over to you first, man. How are you doing, and how is this monstrosity of a project coming along at this point in time?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having us on. This is really cool, man. I mean, I really appreciate you every time you ever take the time to really bring us on and discuss this film helps us a lot. Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. Trust me. Um, this film, man, we're like 95% done with filming. We are going back to camera this Monday, and then next month we have 3 more days, and then we will be wrapping principal photography. Uh, it's a bittersweet moment. It feels good. It's been over a year in the making. We started like initially writing this thing in 2022, and here we are at the end of 2024 or nearing it, and we're close to the finish line, and it feels pretty amazing.
That's exciting. I definitely see the maybe the mixed reaction in terms of filming coming to an end. Like you've put so much into it, you and everybody else on the project. We have been touting it here at our channel for quite some time. In my opinion, what I've gotten to see in terms of early stuff as the best looking, best produced Halloween fan film that I've seen to date, and I'm sure you guys will deliver on that when the time comes. Um, Cameron, how did you get involved in this project, man? Obviously, you're playing the shape. Without the shape, it's kind of hard to have this movie. How'd you get involved?
Well, I was actually cast in another project that James is writing, directing, and I was playing a character in that one, and I heard that James was planning on doing this Halloween film, and I basically got down on my hands and knees and begged him to let me audition for the part of the Shape, and so I did a cold audition. I should also preface I heard about this a little bit before me and James actually got to meet in person for the same, or excuse me, for the first day of filming for this other project. So what I basically did was I just watched the all the movies that had been out at the time, which I think was just 2018 and Kills, and I just tried as hard as possible to mimic James Jude Courtney's mannerisms when I got in the costume, and basically James was sold once he saw my old man walk, and that's basically how I got involved with this project as well.
Nice. And James, clearly you liked what he did in the audition, but what exactly were you looking for your Michael? To bring to the table in order to cast. Obviously, you casted Cameron, but was there anything else specifically you were looking at? Because, like, don't take this the wrong way, but anybody can put on a mask and pretend to play Michael Myers. It takes someone who actually knows the mannerisms and knows the subtleties of playing the character in order to bring it to life.
Yeah, with Cameron, the moment he got in costume, the mask and everything, he put it on. He started moving around. He started like moving left, moving right, moving forward, and I'd be like, do this, do that, and he would do it. And there was something about the way he flowed with his movements that was just like, okay, this guy clearly has been watching James Jude Courtney, Nick Castle, seeing how they did it in the past, and clearly he knows what he's doing and how to walk properly. Considering like in Halloween Ends, Michael doesn't seem like Michael in Kills. So to get Cameron to make those subtle kind of movements and everything, after seeing him do it the first time in costume, it was like, okay, this is a match made in heaven. This guy knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what I want. He knows clearly what he wants to do, and I had to give him the job at that point because I hadn't seen anyone do it like that previously outside of James Jude Courtney.
And I should also say, James has been a huge help on set too, um, because in this film, Michael goes through various stages of time and various degrees of injuries throughout this long span of time that the film actually takes place. So there's different stages that Michael moves throughout the film, and James was really a fundamental help there in getting those eras to be film, I should say, trilogy accurate, in line with the timeline that we saw play out in theaters.
Speaking of that trilogy, James, I'm gonna go back, and we've probably covered a little bit of this on previous shows you've been on, but to choose to do a film in between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends is a hell of a ballsy decision. I think you'd have to be really ignorant to not admit that Halloween Ends is one of the most divisive films, right or wrong, of the entire franchise. And I've always been of the opinion there's a lot of good in it, some bad in it. But you're not the first people to try to sandwich something new in between two projects, not on film, but like there's a book that's starting to make waves right now that's going to come out, I believe, at the time of this that this is posted. There's a Batman 89 book that's coming out by or sequel to Batman 89 that takes place in between that and Batman Returns. And I don't know if that's something that people really thought was ever going to happen, but it's getting a lot of play and a lot of hype right now. And you guys are doing the same with doing something in between Halloween Kills and Ends. What led you to do something here? Because obviously you're doing this. Braden Timmons is doing the post H2O stuff. There's a bunch of different things you could pick up the timeline. You could continue on from 6. You could do a sequel to 4. It's a really ballsy move to do something between Kills and Ends, and something tells me you have a hell of a story to tell to make a decision like this.
Well, I don't know if this is going to get edited out or not, so I'll just say it anyways. The script leaked for Ends, and a lot of people saw it. And a lot of people knew what was coming with the character of Corey Cunningham. And prior to that, me and Cole and I, we were sitting down and talking about like, hey, let's do a Halloween film. What if we did a Rob Zombie's Halloween 3 sort of film? What if we did this thing? What if we continued off with this movie? And then we read the Ends leak, and we're like, well, I like the script. It's really weird, but a lot of people are going to hate this. A lot of people are going to say there's like no Michael Myers, he's hardly in it. What if we went and kind of like, we know there's a 4-year gap now. What if we kind of started to bridge that gap and tell a story that people are going to like and going to give them a little bit more Michael Myers? And then the movie came out, and everything we'd read was confirmed at that point. And everything we already written like a couple of drafts of the script, and we were like, okay, well, we haven't broken any continuity in the script because everything in that script was real for the most part. And we wanted to bring back Michael Myers in a way that fans would be happy. I know you can't please fans, all fans at least, because so many of them don't like fan films to begin with. So the idea was like, if we're going to bring back Michael in a big way with a small budget for people who don't like fan films, let's at least try to sell them on the quality. So let's make this the biggest looking, like the highest quality Halloween fan film ever made at this point, at least, and try to prove to the fans that we care about the IP, the character of Michael Myers, and we want to do it not only for the fans, but for the franchise, if you will. Like we love Halloween Ends, but we know why people don't. And so let's give them what they really wanted with Ends. And that's where Aftermath came from.
I mean, it's a hell of a decision. I'm all for ballsy decisions. I have mixed feelings about the David Gordon Green trilogy. I mean, you followed the channel a bit. I've covered it thoroughly from basically 2017 on. Cameron, I'm going to go to you with this one. What are your thoughts on the David Gordon Green trilogy as a whole and the decision to do a bridge film between Kills and Ends?
Well, personally, as a Halloween fan, I have mixed feelings about the David Gordon Green films. I'm kind of the black sheep in the producers chat. I'm not really a fan of I'm not really a fan of Kills or Ends, excuse me. David made some decisions. He took some creative liberties, and you got to go big or go home if you're going to get handed the Halloween franchise. Rob Zombie did the same thing. I think we can all agree that Rob Zombie has little bits and pieces of the movies that he made, people are huge fans of, and I cannot blame them. They're really cool. There's other aspects of them that, people don't really like. I'm not a huge fan of some of the decisions that he made either. But overall, I think that Halloween 2018 was a super strong start. I think Kills was a good sequel. I don't know if it was the best sequel to make right after 2018. I think that certain decisions could have been made, and you could actually have switched Kills and Ends around and taken good parts from both movies and kind of swapped it and made better movies out of the two of them. Personally, uh, I think that's how I might have done it if I was in charge. But I don't want to armchair quarterback too much. I think he did the best he could with what he had, and he made his own Halloween movies that feel distinctly his. And Aftermath also feels distinctly part of that trilogy. So, something James mentioned earlier when he was answering your question just a minute ago. The quality is it's actually astonishingly close to what you were seeing in the David Gordon Green films. The color correction that Cole has been doing, the lighting that we have on set, it's very reminiscent of 2018 and Kills. So I think like I was saying earlier, fans will there'll be moments I think that you could have a fan walk by the computer and get mixed up wondering which of the three movies it's actually from, the footage from Aftermath. um, but yeah, so basically, to answer your question, I think that David Gordon Green, he did a good job. There's certain aspects that I didn't love that he injected. Like for me, a little bit of the comedy. I wasn't a big fan of the comedy he injected into. I know that's his kind of his wheelhouse, but I kind of like my Halloween movies, to be slightly more serious. But at the same time, I don't mind a joke or two in a movie when I go to the theater.
No, I totally get that. I, I'm a, pardon the term, but a behind the scenes junkie. I'm sitting next to a bunch of behind the scenes horror movie books, Taking Shape 1, Taking Shape 2, Reign of Chucky, a bunch of other ones. And so it's really hard to sometimes separate what could have been from what is. And this is going to be a long winded way of leading to something that's going to be a little clip that's in your trailer, which I believe if you're watching this, the trailer is now live. So um, the David Gordon Green trilogy at one point in time was going to kill Loomis off back in 1978 of the first movie. Carpenter said that's not a good idea. At one point, they were going to shoot two movies together. At one point, Halloween Kills was primarily a flashback and more than likely not titled Halloween Kills. And at one point, all three movies were going to take place on the same night. So, a lot of changes happened, which isn't unusual for a production or multiple productions. But fans then hear about what could have been, and then they can compare it to what is, and then it takes a bite out of what we actually get to see. And as much as I love behind the scenes stuff, I do wonder how much the receptions ends got, or even some of the Rob Zombie stuff, in terms of the reception they got, would have been received if so much of the general public didn't know about what could have been.
Yeah.
For example, there's a shot in your trailer, and I think most people are going to go, "Oh my God, it's a nod to Rob Zombie's Halloween." And Cole and I had this discussion. I was like, and my first reaction was, "Oh, so that he looked like that in Halloween Ends, and they cut that out."
Mhm.
And I got crucified for that one, by the way. We ran a report several months before the movie came out. I'm like, so don't shoot the messenger here, but Michael Myers has that hobo look to him in Halloween Ends, at least for a portion of the movie. And then when the movie came out and it wasn't there, they're like, you fucking liar. Like, no, trust me, it was there. I literally seen it. How hard was it? I think Cole made reference to this when talking to him, that it was a little bit of a battle in terms of whether to go with that look or not. I love the fact that you guys have that look in the movie, because it was literally shot and filmed for Halloween Ends.
Yeah, I just see Cole say that as well, and so it wasn't a battle with me, because I was very well on board with that. I was like, you know what, I love the idea. There was actually some images that were released of a custom action figure of James Jude Courtney dressed in the hobo outfit with the knife and the mask to the side, and we fell in love with the idea. It was actually the moment that those screenshots were released that we were like, we have to add this in the film. It looks great. It looks amazing, and I don't. I'm not a lover of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It's getting on me a little bit over the last couple of years. It's definitely something I'm starting to like a little bit more. But Cole and I, we both were on the same page the moment we saw that. Like, we need to add this to the movie because this is unique. This is not only is it unique, it was in ends at one point. This custom figure looks great, and there are Rob Zombie Halloween 2 fans out there who will appreciate this. There are people who will shit on us for it, and that's okay. But just know that we want to give a little bit of everything from the Halloween franchise to every little fan out there that has certain loves for each different movie.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think it's a wonderful Easter egg. I wish, I'm not a big Rob Zombie fan myself. I think he gets shit on a lot for the second movie,
Yeah.
and I wish people would actually study up on the hell that man went through just to get that movie made. There was so much bad crap that happened that was beyond his control, and they still got a movie made. Cameron, it's hot enough, wearing the normal Michael Myers getup. What was it like during those scenes where you were dressed as full-on hobo Michael?
Oh, look, the director is currently on this call. It was great. I didn't have any complaints whatsoever. If I may really quickly touch on that last question you had for James, I loved the hobo look in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I wasn't a huge fan of the movie. I over time I started to understand what he was going for with it. And after learning about the backstory to that film getting made, I have more appreciation for the film. I was a hater of that movie for like a really long time, but after understanding kind of what he went through, I was like, okay, you know what? It's a competently made movie. I didn't love it, but there was things in it. One being the hobo costume that I loved. That was a really cool look. And personally, if you ask me, it only makes sense. I grew up in the Midwest. I know how cold it gets. Mikey is not hanging out in the woods just in those coveralls all year round. That's not happening. He needs layers. So it makes perfect sense that he would construct some kind of abomination of a jacket, and Connor in the costume department for Aftermath killed it with this costume. The coat, the long coat with the multiple layers crudely sewn together. Oh, so cool! I can't wait for you guys to see it. But now to answer your second question for me, the actual question you asked, um, it was hot to say the least. California summers with like 4 or 5 layers of clothing on and a latex mask. I don't recommend it for everybody. But it was a lot of fun getting to put that costume on and well, cause a little murder and mayhem. It was worth a little bit of sweat. We actually constructed this ice pack necklace type of thing that we hid under the costumes because um, during the shoot, it would get as hot as 90 degrees outside during the summer, and I'm in multiple layers. So James and company were gracious enough to get me some ice packs, to hide behind on my neck, and we would pop the collar and or in the hobo costume, put the hood up and everything, so you couldn't see it at all. But it kept me fairly cool. All things considered, I still sweat like crazy, and I went through like gallons of water, but it kept me cool enough that I was able to do, all the scenes, and we were able to pretty much knock out all the choreography for murder sequences pretty much flawlessly. I would take breaks to get, air and pour some water on my head, but other than that, it was smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's one. So we're filming in the streets of Pasadena with it on, and our Michael has the axe slinged over his back, just like the custom figure. And I'm putting I'm putting the sling on to Cameron's back. He's like, we need to hurry up because I don't want the cops rolling by and see a big ass axe on my back. I was like, all right, we're gonna fucking do this. Let's go. And we got it.
It was terrifying a couple times. I really thought, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the big psycho with the hood on and the giant bloody axe. Everybody else is standing far away by the monitor city, and I'm just over here. The general public just sees this giant wolf with a weapon that's covered in blood on his back, which in California may not be that uncommon. So like, I was like, oh great, the fire department's gonna show up. I'm gonna get arrested. It's gonna be awesome. Can't wait.
Halloween Kills all over again.
Yeah,
I know. True.
How, this one's for you too, Cameron. How difficult did you find it seeing Out of the Mask on something that we shot years ago? Mind you, it wasn't like a sequel. It had nothing to do with David Gordon Green trilogy, but I'm so picky with Michael's look. I'm one of those guys that feels like the mask always looks better if you can't see his eyes. So we were having like a lot of issues with the eyes, and we were shooting for next to no budget. And I came up with the idea, okay, well, we're going to wrap pantyhose around your eyes, which during the day, not terribly hard to see out of. At night, with poor lighting, very hard to see out of. What was that process for you like, or for you during the nighttime scenes and just the ability to see out of the mask?
Well, I'll say this. I gotta give a shout out to Trick or Treat Studios because their ends mask has incredible visibility. It's really fantastic. I didn't have a hard time seeing at all. The eye holes are they're pretty large on it. It's an oversized mask as is, which is great because I have a giant head. My head is huge, and so putting that mask on and being able to see out of it, and it wasn't like tight or anything, was just a dream come true. Yeah, there it is right there. Now the other thing, so we the majority of my scenes are shot at night, obviously, and so our gaffer team, they always had the lights set up in such a way that it created these kind of natural shadows in the eye holes, and in the little visibility that you could actually see my eyes on camera from the dailies that I've seen, the shadows really do a majority of the work. And I'm sure that we did the prosthetic slash wounds around his eyes from when Lori had stabbed him with the coat hanger, and then instead of like doing any kind of dead eye over top of my actual eye, we just actually put in a dead eye contact lens, which had pretty good visibility as well, surprisingly. And so through the shadows, everything looked natural. And from what I've seen in the footage, you can't really see my eyes anyways. You really see the dead eye more so than you see the working eye, if any at all.
So James, from the time that you decided you were 100% going to go forward with this project to the time you first rolled cameras for the first time, how long was that? How much time went into that?
We started prepping the summer of 2022. We were actually in post-production for My Special Boy, a Friday the 13th fan film. So while we were in post for that, the summer of 2022, all the way until October 2023. Last October, Cameron, myself, and our sound operator, Jason, the three of us got together at Cameron's friend's house, Rob, and we filmed a proof of concept teaser in his home. And we wanted to show people the quality that we were looking for with Aftermath, and then as a happy Halloween kind of like thing. So from the summer of 2022 to October 23, it was like the time that we really prepared. And it was one of those things where it's like, we need to get a screen accurate looking mask. We need to make sure we paint it up and hair it up and make it look right. We need screen accurate coveralls. The heather gray undershirt needs to be accurate. The boots need to be this, and this, and this. the eye prosthetic, everything went into it. Like so myself in 31 Studios, we put together this mask. I painted the mask, he haired the mask, and he did a couple touch-ups on it as well. And the entire initial goal going into this movie is like, we want to make sure everything's screen accurate as possible from Halloween Ends, because we don't know where Michael's been in the last 2 years, because Kills in 2018 takes place in 2018, this play takes place in 2020, and then ends 2022. So that was a really important piece of making the shape come to life.
So there's a lot of like good Halloween films, fan films out there. I'm really excited for Braden's that comes out in a couple of weeks here. Super excited for Aftermath, and I'm not even a Halloween Ends guy by any means. I just love the approach you've taken, and that you're putting a lot of love and thought into it, which I appreciate. I'm also a bit of a quality snob, so seeing something at this level of quality. I remember when you showed us for the first time, I was just like, this is it. This is the Halloween fan film that I've been waiting for. Halloween Stalks just came out. I appreciate what those guys did. It looks fantastic. But for me, I'm such a story-driven guy. Even with the Halloween movies, like Halloween's great, but when there's some story behind it, some reason to get behind the protagonists, not necessarily to cheer them on to beat Michael, but to have interest in them being on screen, that they're just not cannon fodder like a lot of the Friday the 13th characters are during those movies.
Yeah.
Do you feel you've co-crafted a story here where people are going to be intrigued with the other characters in the movie and not just Michael Myers?
That's a good question, and it's kind of a hard one because like that people fans watch these films because they want to see Michael Myers tear it up. Like they go in wanting to see Cameron do Cameron things, and you expect that. But we also find that it's important to find characters and create characters that are memorable, and you feel for them when things do happen to them or to someone they may love or their friends or whatever it may be. And so we find that was going to be very difficult, but to tell a story and to create character progression, we knew what we had to do. And so the movie does have a lot of character driven stuff, like the character of Cole Dalton. It's really focused on him, his mental health, where he's at, and how he's trying to cope with losing his father. And then with him and his sister are having kind of an up and down relationship. His ex-girlfriend, current girlfriend, whatever she is, there's always ups and downs with them. So we really tell a story about someone who's really trying to figure out how to live life after surviving Michael Myers. And we don't go extreme like Laurie Strode in 2018. We don't make them an alcoholic or a drug user or whatever. It's just someone who's really trying to cope with life and trying to figure out how to be normal after experiencing some of the most unnormal, sort of unnatural things that would occur in your life. So we try to balance it out with telling a story, making you care for our characters while bringing Michael in to wreak havoc.
If I may add to that, I mean, I was sold when I heard about the project. I was essentially told that it was going to be a cool action-packed fan film with a bunch of murder and mayhem. So I was already sold on that aspect. But after I read one of the earlier drafts of the film, and I got to know the lead characters, which Ryan and Summer play. Once I got to know those characters and their subplot going on, I knew that this project was going to be different than most Halloween fan films that you see on YouTube. It's not just a Michael Myers short film where Michael just stalks nameless, faceless characters and kills them, and by stabbing them. It's not that. This film, I guess, for lack of a better term, it has heart. There's deeper implications going on in the main story that Michael is not only a part of, but he does, in this script, he does feel like the shark from Jaws again. You know, it's not just another character. He doesn't feel like a Marvel superhero. He's like, he actually feels like the ticking time bomb under the table that the characters don't know is there. And so I think you guys are going to be. I think the fans are going to be happy with the characters that they get introduced to. Some for however brief they may be introduced to them for, but the leads, they really do carry the film. I had a fun time in all of the scenes that I shot, all the gratuitous violence, but the leads, they really really do carry this film. We have some emotional powerhouses on set.
This one's for both of you. What was your favorite location you shot at without spoiling anything that happens in the film?
I'll let you go first because I need to think about that.
That's a tough one. I don't know how much. I don't know how much I can say. Cole's probably gonna kill me if I talk too much. uh, there was a cabin in the woods that was pretty cool. That
That
had
was
like
that. Yeah.
yeah, that had an automotive shop. Uh, there was there's a kitchen. There's a kitchen that I had a lot of fun shooting in too.
Yeah.
Um, Oh, and actually, I'm sorry, two kitchens. Two kitchens that I had a lot of fun shooting in. James, I'll be very vague about this. I won't give
Okay.
any serious details that tell anybody really anything, but there's a physical altercation where some important characters are actually able to escape my blade. And there was that physical altercation. James actually allowed me to do a majority of the choreography for the fights and death sequences in this film, and that this it happens in a kitchen, and there's one of the main characters has just had enough of my shit, and he gets into a physical altercation with me, and it looks pretty sick. So I think two kitchens and a cabin in the woods with an automotive shop were my favorite locations to shoot.
It sounds badass. James, what about you, man?
So with Michael's stuff, yeah, the cabin in the woods, like that rural cabin, there's like an automotive shop. It's all like land and there's like animals and wildlife out there. You can hear it. You can hear the crickets chirping. It just feels like you're just in the great outdoors. Not only that, but the farmland, the owner of the property, like part of the story is these two guys go out. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but these two guys go out in the woods trying to find the yearly pot grow. And so thankfully, this guy who owned this land, he's like, hell, I have all these fucking these pot plants over here. Like, hey, I'll come down and I'll escort you down there. And he escorts us down there with an actual gun because he's like wildlife will attack. So we're down there. He's escorting us with a gun. There's a whole crew of people out there. We're filming outside these big giant pot plants, and it was that was actually probably my funnest shoot because of just how bizarre and different it was.
James, I don't know if I ever told you how I found out about those plans. Because nobody. So when I talked to Cole, he was talking about CGI or like placing like plants in the scene. Like we were just gonna shoot, I don't know, in like a or like a barn or something, and he was just gonna place the plants in post. So no one told me that there there was just this huge crop, and it was like the second day, right? I got up early and kind of everybody was starting to roll out of bed. Some people were trying to sleep in because like a lot of the camera crew, they worked like super late the night before. And so I got up and I was doing my routine, I was like, getting a little bit of exercise in. And there was a nice, steep hill that was kind of windy, and I thought, okay, well, I did some lifting, so let me go ahead and try and run this hill and get a little cardio in this morning before everybody gets up. And so I started kind of running this hill, and I was thinking like closer towards the end, I was like, all right, I really need to gas myself on these last couple hill runs. So I was like, all right, let me go down further on this path. And so I went down around the around the corner, and there's just all this weed everywhere. And I remembered the night before, the first time I met the owner of the property when I got to set, and I saw him walking around with like this this giant rifle, and I ran down there, and when I saw that weed, I was like, "Oh shit!" It's like I've gone too far. So then I remember going to James like, dude, there's like a lot of weed down there. And he was like, oh yeah, I know. And anyways, the joke was on me, but I was cracking up. I was scared out of my mind. Thought I was
Yeah.
gonna get shot.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I would think that I'd say that's like the funnest location, just because of like the events, and because that was the location
Yeah.
where we got to be introduced to the hooded shape, and that was the first time. And well, no, it's the second time we got to film with the hooded shape, but that was the first time at night.
Mhm.
And then I would say maybe back in May when we filmed the 4 days at that big house.
So
There's
much fun.
a lot of kitchen stuff there, a lot of stuff with
Yeah.
Henry, a lot of effects, heavy stuff. It was a big giant home. It was a 2-story place, and we had a lot of like scenes in the kitchen. We had a scene spin the bottle. Oh man, no one's even seen this, but our grip and gaff team were able to construct this like this thing where like the camera's attached to like a bottle, and as the characters try to do the spin the bottle, the camera's actually spinning with them, and
Mhm.
people are gonna be like, whoa, that's bizarre, it's crazy, it's awesome. But that location was probably my second favorite.
That location was a ton of fun to shoot at. That whole weekend was a great time. I had a lot of fun. That was in Burbank, right? Or Glendale, something like that.
I think so.
Yeah, it
We
was up
shot at so
there.
many
So
places,
it was. I know.
so
We've been
many.
everywhere.
Pasadena, Arcadia, Glendale,
Yeah, dude.
Lawndale, El
Dude,
Monte.
Haddonfield is just—it's the biggest city now.
It's everywhere.
But
So,
that weekend was a lot of fun too. Actually, now
Yeah.
that I think about it.
so
Yeah.
we were talking off air prior to the interview, and you were mentioning how when it's all said and done, you're probably going to have around 3 hours of footage, and you guys are probably going to end up cutting this thing down to 90 to 100 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Is there any thought whatsoever to, maybe not even at release date, but maybe even a little later down the line, of doing an extended director's cut of this? Because it certainly sounds like you would have enough there to do a director's cut if you chose, and might be another way to get more support in for what you guys have done. But again, I'm a little bit of a behind the scenes junkie, and would love to see it. I hate the idea of half the footage being end up being on the cutting room floor, not being seen. And I don't know if
Mhm.
people understand how often that happens in Hollywood. Like Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends have a ton of stuff that just people have never laid eyes on.
Yeah.
We could make 2 movies out of everything that we've shot.
Yeah, so
You
much.
could Cole could cut this thing in half, and we could release a sequel in like 2 years.
It's a lot. It's funny you mentioned that though, Sean, because I did talk to Cole about this several weeks ago. Like, in time, let's release an extended cut. Maybe not on the Blu-ray, but like at some point, let's just make an extended cut, because I know how long this movie can be, and I don't know if everyone's attention spans would be there enough to be able to withstand 3 hours of just it's like watching Lord of the Rings but Halloween. It's like
Mm.
I don't know how many people are going to be really invested in that, considering it is a fan film.
Oh, I do think the vast majority of people would prefer, a 90 to 100-minute cut. But
Exactly.
selfishly, for me, like, you end up putting out a 2 hour and 20-minute cut or 2 hour and 30-minute cut of it a year later or something, and I'll be all over that. I know I'd support it. An example I can think of is Doctor Sleep. I know a
Mm.
ton of people that just saw the theatrical version of that movie, which is already long. I think it clocks in at like 220, 230. But then there's the director's cut of that movie that Flanagan did. And it's, I think, slightly over 3 hours. And for me, the director's cut of that movie is miles better than the theatrical release, because the story is more complete in it, and you get
Mm.
more of it, and you get more of the overlook in it. And, without knowing
Mhm.
everything you've shot, I do wonder, how much valuable things in terms of storytelling might get left on the cutting room floor if you don't do a director's cut down the line.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's really important. I think that's something we're wanting to do at some point is make that full lengthy 2+ hour cut, 2 hours and 15, 2 hours and 30 cut, to see what people will think of it. I mean, right now we're making a documentary as well, and it's called Bridging the Gap: The Making of Halloween Aftermath, and that right now is 7 hours long, and that's so long. Like I can't even imagine like Cole sitting behind the computer just for hours, 7 hours of footage, just like putting it together, and we're not even done yet.
Well,
Uh,
that's nothing for Cole.
he's just doing it all day.
Those are rookie numbers for Cole.
Are you going to release that as one big thing or split it into like episodes?
My recommendation would be multiple episodes, like at least like a
Yeah.
3-parter, because we're still going to get more BTS Monday, more BTS next month, and then for additional photography, more there. This thing's going to run at like 8, 9, 10 hours. I just don't imagine someone sitting there for that long, watching us just making it. But you know, that documentary is very much inspired by Michael Lives, the Rob Zombie documentary. So there's a lot of it's very much inspired by that.
Is that the big 4 hour one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like I had lost my version of that for God knows how long, and then Cole, I believe, posted it on his channel. It was the first time I'd seen it in like a decade. I'm like, oh my God. And I think it was like midnight when I started. I'm like, I'm sitting here and I'm watching this whole fucking thing. I'm not even a Rob Zombie guy, but like that to me is what every feature should strive to do.
Yeah.
For behind the scenes stuff. It's not going to be for everybody, but it will be for the diehards, and specifically for a fan film. There's so many people that want to go and do a fan film and don't understand how hard it is. And as a guy who, failed at his, one of the biggest regrets I have, to follow what you guys have done, would be just such an eye opener to me and to several others. I'm not saying the vast majority of people would be for watching 7, 8, 9 hours, but I do
Yeah.
think there's a market for it for people that want to study on how to go about it.
Yeah, it's also something I was considering as well as when with the release of the Blu-ray, maybe make it a 2 discs like a set where like one disc is the movie and one disc is the making of Halloween Aftermath. It's definitely something I've considered. We're gonna see where we're at in the next 6 months in terms of that though. But yeah, there's definitely a market for people who want to. There are so many fan films coming out nowadays. People want to see how people are doing it. How are you making it with the budget that you have? And by them seeing 7, 8, 9 hours of how we did it, I think a lot of people can be inspired and realize that anything's possible.
It's honestly a miniature film school. If you really watched our documentary and paid close attention, I mean, it would be a remarkable bit of help for anybody who wanted to know how to make a film. Also to touch on a comment you made earlier, Sean, uh, the director's cut of Doctor Sleep, incredible, so good. I've seen it like 6 times. It's so good. Um, but yeah, as also a behind the scenes junkie, the idea of like a 7 or 10 part series of episodes, that we post on the Grimnox YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, I would, as a Halloween fan, I'd be all over that, you know. And we could just drop it over the course of a couple of months, just new episodes, you know. I'd watch it. I'd watch it multiple times.
Hell yeah.
I think it'd be fantastic. Again, like I'm a behind the scenes junkie too, and I totally agree with your Doctor Sleep take. Hot take. I think it's one of the best horror sequels ever made. So,
So good,
uh,
so good.
and yet, yeah, I do know a bunch of people though that'll go, "Oh, 3 hours. I'm not doing this," and that doesn't matter what it is. Like the Batman, for example, came out, and I found out that that was 3 hours long, and I was gun ho about it. But a few of my buddies I was going to see it with were just like, 3 hours. Like, you don't even. But stories that have more time to breathe are often more effective, in my opinion.
So good, so good.
That's just my take. James, what would you say to people? I want to be careful how I word this. What would you say to people that are maybe gun shy on trying Halloween fan films, and why they should give yours a shot?
Um, And when you say wanting to make Halloween fan films on any sort of level, just in terms of production value, or just wanting to go out and make a film in general?
No, I mean, like, the people who don't like to necessarily watch a Halloween fan film because
Oh,
it's a fan film, why should they give your film a shot? Why should they sit down and either support you guys, financially, or, sit down and watch the film?
I think that what we're doing right now, you said it first, Sean, the Never Hike Alone of Halloween. I think that's probably one of the greatest compliments I've ever heard someone say about this production, this team, what we're doing. I think that shows the heart, the passion that we have for this. And I think with heart and passion, good writing, great acting, we're doing something that you don't commonly see. And what we're doing is rivaling that of studio quality with a fraction of what they made. You know, the budget for Kills Ends 2018, whatever it was, $10 million. We're doing this with $10,000, and you look at this and you would believe that we it costed more. And I've seen fan films make 30, 40, 50, 60, $200,000, and to put this $10,000 film in the same conversation shows the heart, the passion, the care, the love for the franchise, the IP, for the fans. And I think like just that enough right there should show people that we care about them, we care about the franchise, we care about the characters, and they should give it a shot because it's the quality speaks for itself.
How about you, Cameron, being hands-on, being the shape, being involved with the project and a producer on the film? What would you tell people?
Well, for one, it's free, so it doesn't
It's
cost
free.
you a penny. Check it out. The other thing I would tell them is, um, we did the film for them. We did the film for the fans. We're fans. They're fans. We love Michael Myers. They love Michael Myers. If you have a free evening and you want to be entertained, we did it for you. You know, and James is not joking when he says that we made 10 grand like go pretty far. Um, I fully agree with the idea that this film stands up there with films that other people were able to crowdfund like $40,000, $50,000. This film can go toe to toe with them. The quality is pretty insane. It actually, I would go as far as to say it doesn't even make sense how we were able to like make this project look the way that it looks with the budget that we had. It really doesn't even make sense. Um, but the James, how many people have worked on this film with us? Probably like 30, 40 people.
It's a
Um,
big giant amount of people. Like our
yeah,
crew is just insanely big.
is massive, and they're just all like diehard Halloween fans that they've just loved this franchise since the first time they ever saw one of the movies when they were kids, and they just and when I say like they're huge fans, we have people. We have one actress in particular who she lives in London. She flew out here to do this film just because she believed in the project and she loves the IP. We've had people from far and wide travel to come make this project come to life. I understand that fan films are not widely considered as very legitimate forms of entertainment to some people, but frankly, I really think the only reason that this movie is carries the title of fan film is simply because if we don't call it that, we're gonna get sued. Because I mean, this movie, it's a legitimate film. Like this is something that I've had to kind of like tell everybody anytime I tell them about the film and that it's a feature length project. Like, yeah, it's like it is technically a fan film for legal reasons, but it's very much so a legitimate film. It's a feature long film, and the quality is superb. Um, I would just tell anybody give the film a shot. Watch the first 15 minutes, and you tell me if it's like all the other fan films that have left a sour taste in your mouth. If it is, fine, turn it off. But I think if you just enjoy Halloween like we do, I think you'll probably finish it. I think you'll find that the film it's a step or two above what you probably think it is. Just by hearing the title fan film.
I think fan films get an unfair knock a lot of the times. As soon as someone hears fan film, it's like they don't even want to give it a chance, and it's like you have no idea what you're missing. Like I just went through the entire Friday the 13th franchise with my 16-year-old who hadn't seen any of them, and
Mhm.
it's kind of dreading it. Like I have the Scream Factory box set, and it's like, okay, so now let me show you a fan film. He's like, oh, it's not official. I don't want to see it. I'm like, just let me show you a fan film. I showed him,
You showed him Never Hike Alone, didn't you?
yeah, and he's like, oh my god, this is better than the real ones. I'm like,
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Speaking of that, actually, me and some friends, we were just had, a free day, and I don't know how you feel about Disney Star Wars content that's been coming out recently, but we kind of scoured YouTube for the top
the recordings are going
recommendations.
to go to 2 hours now.
I know. Here we go. We kind of scoured like the first recommendations on YouTube for Star Wars fan films, and dude, let me tell you, some of the videos that I watched, some of those fan films are miles above the quality of stuff that we've even gotten out of Disney that they've spent millions of dollars on. So I gotta say, fan films are not what people remember them to be. They are becoming an animal of its own. You know, I've seen some fan films that just blew me away, and Aftermath is one of them, and I'm a part of it. But I'm just seeing the quality of footage that Cole kind of like trickles to me every once in a while when he wants to get my hopes up. It's insane. It's like, dude, this is, I've worked on a couple of like, large productions here in ever since I moved to Los Angeles. Like I've worked on some large productions. And you look at some James, you look at some of our sets and it looks like, friends hanging out. Like it's not much, Some of the I
Yeah.
mean, some other sets we've had like some major toys to play with. But
Mhm.
like, on some of the, less like intricate shoots, it's just been, a tripod or a slider here and, what are they, the fluorescent lights that look like lightsabers. What are they called?
Like
RGB
those tubes.
sticks. Yeah, the tube lights. It's just that. We got a couple of things there and a bounce board over here for natural light, but it's like, nothing crazy, but it's just like the cinematographers that we've been working with, they're legitimate players in the industry. Aries, he works with the big names. He's worked with almost all of them. And so he's just masterful. And you should see this guy. He's just like zipping around on set with a Starbucks latte in his hand. Like this is, muscle memory for him. And it's just crazy. He takes a normal Airbnb living room and he just finds the spot for the camera to sit to make it just look so cinematic. It's crazy. He's got a natural eye for it. And I mean, the cinematographers that we've worked on this project, they have just stepped it up every time. Aries is incredible.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I think when you start talking cinematography, sound design, lighting, editing, those things can make or break a project, any project, whether it's a fan film or a major motion picture film,
mm-hmm.
heartbeat. And I remember us telling James, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, I hope I'm not misspeaking. You guys are doing Dolby with the audio, right? So, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Atmos. Yeah.
that's fucking incredible, right? Like, so I don't know if there's any other Halloween fan film that's attempted that, and if there is, there's not many. Um, and just to have the level of production that you guys have on the budget that you have is remarkable. And to touch on the Star Wars comment, since you brought it up, and it's the only thing I'm going to say is, just look at the Acolyte. And somehow that thing cost $230 million,
Dude.
and or cost about the same, and you put the two projects beside one another and go, okay, so this is what you get with Tony Gilroy, and this is what you get with the other team. It's just
Mhm.
night and day. People can do more with what they have to work with than than others. And in the Star Wars world, that's the most prime example I can think of in terms of the Halloween stuff. I know for a fact there's Halloween fan films that have spent way more money than what you guys have spent on yours, and
By
yours
far.
phenomenal. Cannot wait for it to come out. James, you did bring up something though that I'm a little bit concerned about.
Sure.
Trankus has be careful how I word this here. I'm pretty sure they're not already overly fond of me over the years, but but they've been a little shall we say, not understanding of fan content over the last year online and on YouTube, and flagging a lot of stuff and taking stuff down. And some people don't even know Halloween Stocks 2 was released once already, and they had to take it down and replace the music. How are you approaching the score side of things? Are you at all concerned that you guys might encounter the same issue of posting the project on YouTube or Vimeo or wherever, and then having to make changes at Trankus's request?
I would say we're trying our best to kind of follow guidelines. Like, we don't have like a certain set of guidelines. Like Ryan, I probably shouldn't even mention some of this. But there are certain guidelines that have been set that are like they're like imaginary guidelines. They're not real, but they are real enough where it's like, okay, if you don't follow this, I'm going to take your stuff down. It didn't help us at all that during the summer we kind of went like viral for a minute. Like, we were featured on comingsoon.net, we were featured on Yahoo, we were featured on MSN, and it was like, what is happening? I remember taking my kid to VidCon, and all of a sudden someone messages me, I forgot who, and this whole thing with Aftermath is blowing up. People are sharing it, 30,000 shares here and there. People think it's real, and that did not help us in any way at all. So we're trying our best to make sure in the description of our videos it says we're not associated to any of these, other companies, Blumhouse, Trankus, Universal, whoever. Even our videos are now saying Halloween Aftermath fan film for two reasons. One being that we want them to know this is a fan film, but because so many fans think that this is an actual entry. And they are confused, and we had to kind of like correct them a little bit. So we're doing as much as we can to let people know it's a fan film and fan film only. And in terms of score, Frank Dormani, who's going to be doing the composition for the movie, we've already discussed with him how we want this to kind of be. And we want to, of course, give everyone the John Carpenter theme, his rendition of it, but we want to have a lot of original style music in it that's not going to get us flagged.
That's awesome. By the way, thanks for all the extra work on going viral there. I think we run the second biggest Halloween group on Facebook, and the amount of posts, and not that I was overly active in the Facebook admin stuff with that group at the time, but on the Legacy of Halloween, like, it was post after post after post after post on Halloween Aftermath, and people being like, is it real or is it not real? Is it real or is it not real? How do we approach it?
It's real.
Official, but I hate when someone says it's not real. Like, that was really pissing me off, and like, just getting into arguments with people. It's like, no, it's not an official Trankus film, but it is a real project that people are pouring their hard work and their heart into. So saying it's not real is just, it really rubbed me the wrong way.
I had a literally same exact carbon copy situation going on. James, you remember, in the comment section. Dude, I had a guy telling me, he's like, this is not real. And I was like, yes, it is. We are currently doing it right now. it's happening. And he was like, it's not happening. And then I commented back, oh, it's happening. And then he blocked me. But like, it's crazy. I was actually getting aggravated at one comment because he was like, it's not real. It's so real. It is so real.
I just shot it last week.
Yeah, literally. It was like, I left set yesterday. It's real. Trust me. My back hurts. It's real.
Yeah. It's interesting because so many people don't think it's real. You go on IMDb, the film's in the top 300 on IMDb right now, the highest it's ever been. Top 300 films in terms of like popularity. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Cameron and myself, we were actually featured on an article, and you actually get to see a picture of him and I standing next to each other, and they were featuring us.
Yeah.
And like, that's us, bro. That's my face. That's you. You know,
It's not my face, but yeah.
Well, yeah, well, that's your body. It was it's been cool. It's been really neat. But as someone commented who had their fan film taken down, they said, "Well, this is the kiss of death for you." I was like, "Oh, that's not very
We'll
supportive."
see.
Hopefully not.
Luckily for him, I like kissing, so that's okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way I see it is, Braden Tim has got his project coming out in the next couple of weeks, and you guys have the 2025 time slot. I know there's been some rumors about the Halloween TV series pushing for 2025. I can tell you everything that I've heard on that front is there's no way that that's going to be ready for 2025. Like they're pressing hard for 2026. The longer it takes, the less likely that becomes. So in terms of Halloween stuff, like if people want to get excited about something, I'd say get excited about Halloween Aftermath. And I really do think it's the type of project that even if you don't like Halloween Ends, that you're doing it at such a high level of quality that maybe it will make people appreciate that. Well, what if this was official? Does it make me look at Halloween Ends differently? Does it make me look at Halloween Kills differently? I love that people can take that approach with it. Before we get ready to wrap up here, I'll give you a chance to plug everything, but I'm going to ask you guys a bit of a Halloween fan question here. Eliminate 1978 from the equation because it seems to be the one everyone goes to. What's your favorite Halloween film and why?
You go first.
James, go. No, you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of hard because I'm a big Halloween 4 fan. Love Halloween 4. It was the very first Halloween I had ever seen. But then Halloween, yeah, exactly. But then this is gonna make think people be like, should I even watch Halloween Aftermath after hearing this answer? I love Halloween Ends. I love Halloween Ends. I love Rob Zombie's Halloween, the first one. So, if I were to say my second favorite, it would probably be Halloween 4 or Halloween Ends, followed by Rob Zombie's Halloween. Rob Zombie's Halloween was released in 2007. I had just turned 18. It was a pretty special year for me. Just graduated high school. There's like so many memories of that year, and in seeing Danielle Harris come back in the franchise, knowing Rob Zombie, listened to his music at the time a lot. I just fell in love with his. I was already in love with his music. Him seeing or him doing Halloween, and then trying to do like a reimagining of the movie. I just felt that it was very special, very unique, and very Rob Zombie to do. And then with Halloween 4, I mean, like I said before, it was the first Halloween I've ever seen in my life, and it made me fall in love with the franchise. And that then made me see Halloween 1 eventually, and that's the reason why Halloween Aftermath is being made today, because of Halloween 78. John Carpenter, I mean, he's my favorite director. He's the biggest inspiration in terms of filmmaking for me.
That's funny that Halloween 4 was the first one that you saw. Did we ever talk about this before? Because I really think Halloween 4 was the first one I saw as well.
We did. We talked about this last Halloween, actually, or last October.
Oh, was it okay? It was when you stayed over at my house.
Yeah.
And we watched it on like Netflix or whatever. Yeah, I think. Well, he pretty much had my answer. I'm for my second favorite. It's kind of a tie between Halloween 2 and Halloween 4. I think I like Halloween 4 slightly more than Halloween 2, but I also really enjoy Halloween 2. Yeah, I think those are my tied for second, and then third is Rob Zombie's Halloween, the first one. I'm a big fan of that one. I think I like the theatrical cut a little bit more than I like the director's cut, but I do like the director's cut because it's longer as well. Uh, I was a pretty big fan of Rob Zombie's take on the actual Halloween portion of the film that was, a remake of the original 78 film. I didn't love like all the stuff as Michael as a kid as much. I get it more now. Back in the day, I was kind of just like when I was younger, like why is this kid screaming so much? Like this is just annoying. But now, now that I'm older, I understand it better. But anyways, yeah, it's pretty much the exact same thing as exact same answer as James. Excuse me. Um, Tie between the second and the fourth movie. I'm a big fan of those two.
I saw Halloween 1, 2, and 4 all on the same night. First time I'd ever seen a Halloween movie. And
Dang.
from that day forward, it's like kind of my headcanon trilogy. Uh, and from that day forward, I get it. People don't like the mask in it. And personally, I think the mask looks good in certain scenes where it's lit properly.
Yeah.
Um, but like H4, Donald Pleasance, Ellie Cornell, obviously, young Danielle Harris. The way the film's paced, like even you could watch the film 100 times over again, and it never gets slow. It goes by lightning quick. It's very
Mhm.
fast. It doesn't drag. It's probably one of the reasons why, like for me, it's my favorite Halloween film ever. So yeah, definitely love H4. James, close things out, man. How can everybody support your project? Where can they find it? What do you have coming next?
Yeah, so Grimnox Productions. It used to be under the label of James Grimm, and then I rebranded it to Grimnox Productions. There we are in association with Dark Forest Productions, here ran by Cameron Gaxiola here. So you can see anything Halloween Aftermath related there on the 14th, which is Monday at 5 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. We'll be releasing the first official teaser trailer to the film, and then this October 31st on Halloween, expect to see a sizzle reel number 2 for the film, and that's the first time anyone's really heard about that. So I've seen it, and it starts off with me being very emotional, and I kind of don't like it, but people are going to hear it. And it's interesting. So yeah, get ready to see that.
That's fantastic. Definitely get excited, everybody. Halloween Aftermath. It might be a year away still, but it will be worth the wait. The love, passion, dedication that's being put into this project is fantastic. Bonus question as we end things off, Cameron. Have you scared the living shit out of anyone yet as Michael?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We've gone through multiple makeup artists. I'm a bit of a practical joker on set, mostly because it's actually hilarious. I so the lead actors on set, they're pouring their heart and just tears into some of these scenes. They're just giving it their all. And there was this one moment where I was talking to Summer and Ryan, and they had just got done doing this like insanely emotional scene, and they killed it, dude. The footage we got from that scene is insane. It like we're talking probably Oscar worthy performances. Which sounds like I'm hamming it up, but it's not. They were incredible, and the tension release was like when they were sitting there kind of decompressing from doing this really emotional scene. I kind of walked up and I was like, that was like insanely good, guys. Just remember that everyone's coming to see me, and I don't even talk. And like, anyways, that I didn't scare anybody, but I do little jokes and I'm a dick. But I scare a lot of makeup artists and stuff like that too on set. So like any chance I get, I'm always screwing around. It's hilarious. I love
Just
it.
to follow up with that what he's talking about right now, when that scene was taking place, literally, like I didn't even say cut like this. I was like, cut, because the room, everyone in the room was like teary eyed. Everyone's like that performance was crazy. And instead of just like cutting early, we just kept it rolling, and
Yeah.
it was so emotional. I look up, the DP's like, Alex is over in the corner, like wiping his tears, and Cameron's looking at me. He's like,
Dude, no. I was literally like,
yeah, you're like that.
I was like, bro.
Yeah,
I had just finished getting like my eye prosthetic and everything removed. And so I was like, wrapping up, getting ready to leave. I didn't even need to be there anymore. I was just like, I was hanging out, because working with all these people for this long, we're all friends. And so I was just kicking it, with the friends. And they, yelled action, quiet on set. And so everyone quieted down. I kind of got to a position where I could kind of watch what was playing out. And it was just insane. Like the performance that they were giving was just like I can't tell you what's going on in the scene, but I was just like I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like this is a fan film.
yeah.
Actually, no, that's what I told Alex. I was like, this is a fan film. That was insane. People were literally. I mean, I was tearing up like around the end of the scene when Ryan was really getting into his dialogue. I was like tearing up. oh my God. Like, I ran up to James and I shook him. I was like, dude, I was like, that is insane. Like, everyone is going to remember that for the rest of it. For like, after they watch the film, however many times they watch the film after that, every single time they're going to be looking forward to this performance. It's going to be the most incredible and heartbreaking. And like, I don't want to say too much, actually. I'm probably saying too much. But it's like, dude, the performance that Summer and Ryan give is remarkable. And I'm sitting here talking about Ryan, like Summer just knocked it out of the park. She's sitting there doing her thing, doing her action, and I'm telling you, if you don't feel anything from watching that scene, you have no heart.
Yeah.
you don't like movies.
You have no soul.
Dude, that moment when the entire crew and cast that was still on set at that time was just watching these two actors do their thing, dude, that's what it is. Being on a film set is just that. It's that moment where just everyone is like in sync. You know, Jason's sitting there like in total awe, but he's still making sure like the boom mic doesn't like dip down into frame. You know, the whole camera team is just like they're slowly pushing in, just having to like work through the fact that they're watching just this incredible performance. And Ryan and Summer, they know like 30 people are watching them, and they're doing their entire scene flawlessly, and it was incredible. It was shockingly good, you know. I'm telling you, like calling this thing a fan film is such a trash way of describing this movie. It is a film. It is a full-on film. So,
Well, it certainly sounds like people are in for a treat come October 2025. And if you're watching this video, the passion that Cameron and James are both speaking about the project with, like, you don't even need to know you guys all that well to just see it oozing on screen. And I think everybody should give it a shot, regardless of it officially being a fan film or not. I think people are going to be blown away by what you guys deliver. Halloween Aftermath, for my money, from what I've seen so far, is going to be the pinnacle of Halloween fan films. And again, calling it fan films doesn't seem to do it justice. Really appreciate the time that you guys have both given up on your Friday evening to do this. Really looking forward to what's to come, and having you all back.
thank you so much for having us. This was a good time.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having us again, man. I appreciate it. And this is a great time. Glad we got to talk about this. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
Can I plug any of my social media or anything like that?
Sure. Yeah.
Follow me on Instagram at Real Cameron G Film, and you can also follow Dark Forest Production if you're curious at all. The tag on Instagram is Dark Forest P. So check that out, and I appreciate you guys for watching, listening to me yap, about this project. You guys are gonna love it. It's a Halloween film made by Halloween fans for Halloween fans. So if that's all you need to watch it, please come on down, watch it.
I think that's a fantastic note to end on. A Halloween film made by the fans for the fans. It's Cameron and James, Halloween Aftermath, coming your way October 2025. All sorts of goodies out now. More coming on Halloween of this year. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for the time, guys. We'll see you next time.
We'll see ya.